Hello everyone, and welcome back to yet another Mortal Kombat 1 video. Now with us, having seen much more from that stellar gameplay reveal trailer, I thought that today I could create a wishlist roster of sorts, based around characters I would love to see return. Initially, I did want to create this video, actually a few weeks back upon its reveal, but I really did want to let Nether Realm first let this game flourish a little before I then took a stab at it. Because in my mind, it's one thing to make a personal wishlist video based around characters you love and enjoy, and it's an entirely different ballpark when it's one based around the lore itself. However, for this video, I think I found a fair middle ground, which really dabbles in my personal choice, and then characters that I do think fit and work with the storylines presented to us here. No matter how little of that story we do, or in this case, don't currently know of. But to deliver a more well-rounded roster, I absolutely had to take into mind fan-desired characters from the 3D era. Ones that could actually fit into the mold. So there's definitely some influence from popularity and lack of appearances here. It just enables us to have a more well-rounded roster that takes into account a multitude of different ideas that can influence and benefit the overall story, as well as the characters themselves. With that in mind, please do remember that the roster itself is going to be made up of 24 characters, with an additional 16 being relegated to that of the cameo roster. And also, Ed has gone on to confirm that the cameo roster itself will not directly impact the story, probably seeing as those characters aren't fully fleshed out. But it's still relatively early days, and things can change later down the line. But with that said, that means that I only have a few limited slots here for who I would want to see. And mind you, currently 10 of those slots have been taken, with the current confirmed characters being Liu Kang, Kung Lao, Sub-Zero, Scorpion, Kitana, Melina, Shang Tsung, Raiden, Johnny Cage, and Ken Shi. Thus, there is only actually 14 slots left for this roster, and with over 70 characters to pick from, it's a pretty daunting task. Now, mind you, with Ed also saying that the Kombat kids being yet to exist, it does at least make the option a bit less difficult to pick from. So with that said, let's begin here. Let's start off strong with a character I feel all of us would really like to see return: Smoke. Mind you, clearly with the appearance of Kahn and presumably Kuai Liang, this means that the Lin Kuei here are all pre-Cyber Initiative, meaning that if we do indeed get Smoke, it will be him in his human form, something that's really had quite a surge in popularity since Mortal Kombat 9. Thus, if he is to come back as a human, I think this is the perfect avenue to really delve and explore the Enera idea, planted all the way back since Mortal Kombat 9. We could learn about its powers, the ritual used to summon it, and how does it affect Smoke as a character, because power like that definitely must come at a cost. So yes, these are my reasons as to why Smoke should return. Moving on, we do have General Reiko, the first of what will be quite a few 3D characters to this list. Seeing as we've had quite a lot of hyper exposure to Shao, Reiko feels like a really good fit for someone to take over that role. He's already shown from the Mortal Kombat X comic line, which is now sadly non-canon, but whilst he was originally conceived as a big fanboy of the Emperor, he could easily be something so much more than just a Shao stan. And I'm of the belief that he really does deserve that right. Plus, currently, we don't really have any Outworlders or actual villains on the roster right now. So I think this is definitely a spot Reiko can most certainly take, especially since he hasn't been seen since Armageddon. Now moving on, we definitely have quite a controversial pick here, Sindel, and it's for very good reason. The sudden change and shift that Sindel had in Aftermath is understandably one that many were surprised by. So the reason why I'm including her here is effectively to either see it be undone, or at the very least, be bent or changed into a different manner. I know that this character in particular has been at the heart and center of many debates, but I really feel like this is a solid opportunity to kind of redeem her in the eyes of many older fans. And it's also quite fortunate, in this case and scenario, that Sindel features in the background of the new Edenia stage. But I also think she could be quite integral to multiple different character threads. The main one, of course, currently being Melina's and Kitana's story arc, where Melina, now the older sister to Kitana, is looking to ascend to Sindel's throne. But as this is going on, the princess is suffering from a rare disease, which is reverting her back to her original Takatan design, threatening her position with possibly exile. Thus, she has grown a paranoid, even at her own sister. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Sindel balances this all out. Does she try her best to hide her daughter's disease from the public eye, knowing the scrutiny that may come from being a caring mother? Or is she instead forced to shatter her own heart and abide by the laws of all, casting out her own daughter? We must wait and see, but I can't deny the premise this storyline has definitely catches my eye and attention. Moving on, we are now back for another 3D character, and to no one's surprise, I am, of course, featuring the Cleric of Chaos on this list, Havoc. He is easily one of the most popular characters that did emerge from this trilogy. Whilst, yes, he definitely can be seen as a bit of a wacky, goofy character, Havoc's premise as a Chaos Realmer has easily allowed him to stand out from his peers during this time, with the comic book line really solidifying just how ruthless and cunning he could be. Narratively, I think that this helps add an element of world building to this universe, as currently we know so little about Liu Kang's own vision. Thus, Havoc is a fantastic addition in showing how wide the range of realms are. Plus again, this character hasn't been playable since Armageddon. Now, we can't exactly have a roster with Sindel without including Nightwolf here. That's actually a really weird fun fact. To me, this was a very easy inclusion. Nightwolf as a character has always been a fantastic addition to any roster he's been on. He's just so cool with the weapons in his toolkit and how his design exuberates his own culture. Plus, along with this, he's one of the strongest Earthrealmers in the canon, and I think this is a great gateway to actually lead to the Dream Realm, as Native American culture holds them in extremely high regard, being seen as something greater than prophecy. Plus, we haven't really had a new realm since Mortal Kombat Deception. Thus, I think that Nightwolf could be a really good way into expanding the canon, as the potential is there now. Now back to more fan favorites. How could I not have this man on the list here? Ermac, the Master of Souls, is yet another of Mortal Kombat's top tier fan favorites, with a really cool concept and design that sadly has not been entirely handled too well, or more so not handled in the case of Mortal Kombat 11, as whilst he was given a great redesign, he would get shish kebabbed in the crypt. Not a great way to go. Now, canonically, the last time we did see the character was during Mortal Kombat X, and since then, a lot has changed, and with characters getting new polished retellings, this would actually be the perfect opportunity to modernize Ermac to a new audience, without always having him strictly be tied to a mere puppet of Shao Kahn. I know they've toyed around with the idea of maybe King Jared being a part of him. That could be very interesting to explore, but what I would personally like to see is a pairing with him and Kenshi, as the Blind Swordsman is currently confirmed for the base roster, and the two were allies in the golden age of games. So I think with the contenders and options here, Oshtekk could be a great choice. Our next character here is one that could really benefit from a more modern repackaging and facelift, and that is Li Mei, yet another character that hasn't been playable since Armageddon. And you can tell they kind of ended up giving up on her, as she did get skewered in the opening act of Armageddon. That's a rough way to go. And since then, she's only been kind of relegated to that of a cameo during Mortal Kombat X. That's as far as it really does go with her. Currently, seeing as the roster is still bare of Outworld characters, this would be a great opportunity to bring her back into the fold. She's a character that really had the potential to be something, kind of being framed as Outworld's equivalent to that of Liu Kang. However, that idea was quickly sidelined. The thing is, Li Mei has always been a compassionate character, one that has looked out for the betterment of her own people. Thus, I think that Li Mei could actually be a great gateway to the more political side of Outworld and how it handles its affairs and its own people. This could be a very interesting take on the character to try and forge a better tomorrow. The next character here is of course an all-time legacy fan favorite, the Saurian Reptile. Now going back to what I said about reboots, I really do think that this is a phenomenal opportunity to just do something new with his character. Because honestly, if we look at Reptile's history, he's been doing the same exact storyline since his debut. Nothing about the character has changed across literally 2 different timelines. It needs to change. He's an OG all-time fan favorite, and the very first secret character. He really does deserve something new. So I really think that this is the game to do it in. Plus, with Reptile having not been playable since X, and only being a cameo for 11, this is the perfect opportunity for his return. Plus, Reptile could still most certainly serve as a suitable catalyst for Onaga. And with Goro having been relegated to that of a cameo spot, Reptile is the perfect choice here. But with chaos must come order. So naturally, this takes us to my next 3D choice here, Hotaru, the ruthless leader of the Sidon Royal Guard. Now really, a lot about what I've said about Havoc really does apply to Hotaru here. He hasn't been playable since Armageddon, and he hasn't narratively done anything since then, only at most making brief cameo appearances in arcade ladder endings. So with a new world, this is as good a time as any to do something with him. I also believe that this is a great opportunity to introduce the modern age to the world of Sido, as it is a dystopian Orphantarian world built purely on the concept of order, in both its purest and cruelest form. It's genuinely spectacular at just how different Sido is from the other realms. Plus, Sido itself is yet another great opportunity to tap into the Dragon King, as Poseidon's culture basically embodied the values and view of Onaga, a cruel but just world ruled under one vision, and we've seen the two sides work in the past, so the echoes of deception could most certainly resonate here. Now, seeing as we are on the topic of world building, a perfect addition to the roster would be the vampire Nitara, who is, at this point, a largely untouched and heavily underutilized character. Now, in many ways, Nitara kind of falls under the same parameters as Reptile, where their origins and world could be redone and reborn in a new interesting way. The foundation of Vaeturnus, the home of the vampires, has always been fairly bare, so I do think that this could be a great opportunity to delve into that world and really expand on what was there, tying it in to the Datusha blade, something I will be touching on in a bit. With us having covered a considerable portion of older characters and 3D characters, I did want to include at least 2 characters from the Reboot trilogy, with the first being Kotal Kahn. I know, calm down. As you see, I'm including him here from a world building perspective, because I think it's quite interesting with how the Oshtekk culture did influence the Mayans, and even Kotal himself from a character design standpoint. But I also think that's the case to distract us from how many L's this man can handle. Because, dear Christ, it's rough being a Kotal fan. Honestly, as much as I like Kotal, I gotta be real with you guys here. I'm purposely keeping him around, so there's actually someone expendable on the roster. If someone needs to die, he's the go-to guy. As much as I like Kotal, fortune does not favor the Oshtekk. Now, going back to what I had mentioned about the Datusha blade, it would only feel right that if Nitara made the cut, Ashrah has to as well. Now, Ashrah is a kind of a weird anomaly in the series. What I mean by this is that she's got a great design and a fantastic premise with the hunger that the Datusha blade presents. But despite that, it never really felt like Ashrah ever reached her full potential. Hell, even her greatest feat of strength, where she massacred vampires all across Vaeturnus, it was all done off screen and pretty much undermined due to the grand calculus of Armageddon. Now is the perfect time to bring her into the fold, and maybe they could tackle the Datusha blade in a new and interesting way. But hey, that's just an idea on my part. Now, there was no way I wasn't going to feature him here, as it's been an entire timeline since we have seen him, the necromancer Quan. And I mean, hey, think about it. With a tag team-esque mode in the game, and Shang Tsung as a pre-order bonus, this is the perfect time to reform the Deadly Alliance. Narratively, Quan is quite integral to a lot of characters here, especially Scorpion and Sub-Zero. From a world-building standpoint, Quan is a really great representative of the Nether Realm, and with this new continuity and canon, I'm more so intrigued to see how exactly does this hell work. Is it the same as before, or under completely new leadership? Because prior to Shinnok's reign, it was ruled over by Lucifer, so I want to see what exactly is going on here. We will have to wait and see. Now, no doubt, this last one will spark outrage, but my final inclusion is going to be the Chitin Devourer. I know, right? People hate this bitch, and I am in that camp 100%. But bear with me, because I am doing this for petty reasons. Now, logically, I'm inserting her here, as we do only have one other Reboot character on this list. But what other reason would I have for her being here? Simple. This bitch gotta die. This character has done some ludicrous things. Melina, okay, legacy character, she's a clone, she can come back. But Hanzo Hasashi? Are you insane? She killed this man and then dipped. And she gotta go at the start of this new dawn. So I know we never have to see her again after this point. Is this petty? Yes. Is it irrational? Most certainly. Is it deserved? Without a doubt. That's it. There is no narrative reason. Actually, no, to be fair. The Chitin are effectively the xenomorphs of this universe. Thus, left unchecked, they are unbelievably dangerous with who they feed their kin to. And again, going off everything they've done, I see them as a threat that does need to be erased. Plus, yeah, I'm still a bit bitter. With that said, everyone, that's been my list for Mortal Kombat 1. I hope you have enjoyed it and kind of understood the perspective that I've gone into this with. Do I expect this to be 100% accurate? No, not even close. But I feel like my reason and choices have been pretty valid, with everything established here. With that said, I did put a few restrictions on myself, because like I said at the very start, if it was my personal choice, I'd have characters on here, like Cassie, Takeda, Onaga, Hotaru, Kentaro, Blaze, and just so many more, just out of the sheer curiosity of how they look and play in this game. But sadly, this isn't that list. But yours doesn't have to be that. So down in the comments below, please do let me know, what characters would you like to see return, as well as the rosters you yourself would like to make. I'd love to see all of your suggestions down below. But for now everyone, as always, stay strong, stay well, and keep on fighting, as we all eagerly await the release of Mortal Kombat 1. Take care everyone, I'll see you all soon.